Excited to get back home against a team in Auburn that's playing really well, won two in a row, two SEC games in a row, and then, they want to run the football, very powerful football team. Quarterback can run. They've got a couple of running back. Hunter's really good. Good offensive line, but they're a very physical team defensively, multiple fronts, probably a little bit more four down, maybe 60-40, and then they go into mint front. Quarters team, very aggressive, a lot of twists, a lot of movement. They're very good in special teams. Got one of the best kickoff return guys in the country. Was All-American last year. We are looking forward to coming home. I think we're close to capacity, and we're awful appreciative of the fans from Arkansas for continuing to support us.
Coach, 481 yards of offense last week. I was wondering, is he a candidate for the permanent position and also maybe quarterbacks coach too?
The first part of that, Trey, absolutely. I don't know how, I really don't know how I could not look at him after that performance. I've spoke with him a little bit about that as well, about our timeline, what we're going to do, but absolutely. And then I think what you would do at that point, if you decided to stay in-house, is figure out what position he felt most comfortable with coaching from that coordinator spot. But certainly we haven't made that decision yet, but I don't know how he could have done a better job than what he did on Saturday, to be perfectly honest with you, with everything. I mean, just imagine you had fall camp and you played that way your first game, but then you add all the things that went on, and you had a 2-week window to prepare. And I thought he called a freaking great game and had him off balance. I thought he did a great job.
What are your thoughts on the tackle positions? Obviously, Kudus went down, and you made a change with Devon Manuel. How do you see that going, and is Kudus okay?
Kudus, I don't know if we're going to get him back this week. He's got a high ankle, and so I just don't know if we're going to, that's depend on how high, from what I understand, how high it is, depends on the weeks. Not extremely high injury, but Devin Manuel played really well. Tykeist Crawford brought some juice too. I was really, really pleased, excited for Tykeist. We'll let them battle it out this week, but I would anticipate Tykeist being over there at the right side because he earned that. He played well, and then Devin and Chamblee would be the left side guys. I think Chamblee would be our best bet to play both, and so we would probably have him be our rotational tackle as well.
I wanted to check on your pass catching guys, how he's doing, and then what you got out of Satania late in the game, and then just maybe how it looks going forward at tight end.
Well, Armstrong, I think, is going to be just fine. We'll know a little bit more at practice today whether he's cleared from his headache, but I think he's going to be fine. Satania, he did some good things for us. I was upset with him a little bit on the first punt, but once I looked at it on film, that the ball took a bounce to our left. I'm not for sure that he could have comfortably tried to field that ball, but he did a really nice job. Caught 2 or 3 passes right there in a row, that made some really good yards on it. So. I feel like he'll just continue to get better and improve. Tyrus, he has a dislocated shoulder, probably will involve some surgery, and so he will be out. We're going to move Hunter Talley up. We've got obviously some opportunities with Easter and Lassiter. I just think in a short period of time, I think Hunter Talley knows the offense better than the other fellas do, and he's really looked good on the scout team as well. and so we'll move him up to be number 4 there.
You know, when they say when a kid has a dog early, you know, that's a good sign. It looks like Braxton kind of had that mentality to rip the ball out once, did it again. Could you maybe talk about what you saw from him? And they blew the whistle on that second one. What were your thoughts about that play?
Yeah, I talked specifically today with the head of officiating on 2 specific opportunities. One was at the end of the game. The other one was that specific play. And it's a very, very hard call on those guys. Let's talk about Braxton first. We had talked about they were really good with not giving up turnovers. They were really good. We have been really good with getting them. So we talked about somebody's going to lose. Someone has to lose. It can't just be, well, we're really good at getting them and don't get them, and they're really good at keeping them. And I thought, I was pretty close to that, and Braxton went immediately for that. It kind of came loose on him there on the sideline, and he, what a great play, much needed play. On the situation where they ruled him down or no longer advancing the football, my only thing with that is if that's the call, then they had another player that came and wiped out everybody standing there. That should, in my opinion, that should be a 15-yard penalty after the play is dead. And so I didn't think it could be one or the other. It's either our ball or they've got a 15-yard penalty. And unfortunately for us, we didn't get either one of them. And then the other one was just they had made a mistake. They didn't go into substitution protocol. In their opinion and my opinion, if they would have 8 seconds to get basically their field goal unit off the field, get their team on the field, give us 3 seconds before we have to substitute, those 8 seconds are gone, and honestly, that field goal attempt should have never been attempted. Luckily for us, I don't know how you feel if the good Lord has an opinion about who wins or not, but he got a lot of things going on, but lucky for us, and I hate it for the young man, but luckily justice was served on that one.
Sam, you got a good game from Nudie the other day. 5 tackles, made some good stops in the run game and the pass, broke up 3 passes. Just what value did he bring in the snaps he played?
A lot, because we were able to move Snacks to Hogg. I think that was a big deal. They were picking on us a little bit there with 1 and 3, who are fantastic players, but allowed us to move Snacks in there at Hogs. The problem is we didn't play him as much during the week at Hogs, so he didn't have the opportunity to really study that position, but it allowed us to do that and move Hud back to safety, and Al, obviously he's still nursing a knee, and so it allowed us to get him off the field a little bit more. But Nudie was the most physical I'd seen Nudie play. Really made some good tackles in the open field. Obviously was really good in coverage. And that'll certainly bode well for him in the future, as the next 3 games unfold. And he did a really nice job. Real proud, happy for him.
That kind of leads me into my next question. Just what do you see from him in coverage that makes him effective? As I was looking at a site earlier, he still hasn't given up 100 yards as like a primary cover guy.
He's got length. Obviously he's got length, and that's good. He's got experience. In all honesty, if he becomes a better practice player, I think he'll even become a better player, and he knows that, and he's done that, and so I'm really happy for him, proud of him that he's done that, because I think it shows on the field. But he's long and he's savvy, and he's played a lot of football.
Coach, it's the tempo and the success of that was like super evident in the fourth quarter and overtime. I think especially in overtime, all 3 plays were kind of rapid fire before the touchdown. What is it about that tempo that maybe just suits KJ so well with this offense?
Well, I think first of all, and I agree with you, I think it benefits the offensive line. I think that's the biggest key, that people aren't necessarily getting their cleats in the ground and checking to where your back is and all this kind of stuff. excuse me, because they don't have as much time. I think that's part of it. The plays that Kenny called were runs and runs. They weren't run to pass. Now, we called run to pass as well, but there was definitely a game plan of we're going to give it to Rocket or we're going to have KJ run it. That's what we're going to do. And those are two very good options. And so a lot of our stuff in the past is, this season has been run to pass, where your backside is locked up in man. Therefore, you have no backup as an offensive lineman on the backside of it. You don't have any backup. And it makes it a little bit more difficult. You got to be a little stronger, a little more athletic, things of that nature. So we basically took a lot of that out of our offense, even though we did run a few plays back there like that.
You already mentioned Tyke East. Anything on film stick out of like what he was able to bring to you guys other than
I just think a lot of enthusiasm. He was really good in pass protection, really good. And, they were trying to bull him quite a bit because he's so athletic that he was out on top of them. They tried to bull him. He set the bull down real nice. I thought he brought a lot of energy to the offense. And, when I felt like we had a chance there in overtime, I talked to the captains. They never came back over on the sideline. They just stood out there on the 50-yard line talking to each other. And I thought that was really a cool sign of leadership. There was a time in mind, and I said, well, maybe we ought to get them over here and talk about what we're going to do and all this kind of stuff. But to be perfectly honest with you, you got to wait till the coin toss to figure all that stuff out. And I thought it was a really cool sign that them guys just stood out there and they were talking. And I don't know what that had to do with your question, but
just and last kind of injury question. You mentioned Tank on Saturday. Is he all good?
I think he's going to be fine. Had an ankle, but I think he's going to be fine. He may not practice today or limited, but I tell you what now, that's the guy that we went out and tried to get Saturday now. He was really good. Our linebackers, we got to tackle better on defense. We got to tackle better. But our linebackers basically ran free all day because of that D-line. They and we made a lot of tackles and missed a lot of. We've got to emphasize that.
Coach, at the at the tight end position, obviously you already lost Luke, now Ty. Just, I guess, how tough is that? And, from that room, are you expecting everybody to be able to step up and, make up for it?
I saw Saturday a lot of life out of Gums. I mean, he made some – it was the most physical he had been. Now, part of that's probably because his ankle's healed up. He's had an ankle for a long time. But I think if we show that we're too worried about it, I think it's a negative for the team. We've always stepped up, kind of like Ty did. I mean, Ty, say what you want, he was 5, on the depth chart before he got his opportunity, and then we figured out he's a really good player. Somebody will step up, and I believe they'll play really well. One of those guys will really show up. It may be 2 or 3 of them, but I'm confident in that group, and I'm confident in Tally. I'd like to see what he can do. He's been very, very physical on the scout team.
And then, Auburn coming to town, Hugh Freeze came in with Liberty last year.
Yeah.
Just overall thoughts of him and the team that he's got this year at Auburn.
Hey, they're doing a really good job. I mean, they're very, very physical, both offensively and defensively. And I think they're playing their best ball right now. And Hugh's always been a nice guy, a good guy to me. I don't know him real well, but been a good guy to me, and obviously well coached. And Liberty's having a lot of success this year. Jamie Chadwell's doing a wonderful job, but obviously Hugh left him with good players, and he's doing a good job. I'm glad he got another opportunity, and he's doing well.
Sam, going back to Nudie, I remember last year during fall camp, he got a lot of work with like the 2s and the 3s, and he goes out in the season opener and has an interception. This past week, he moved into the second team. He comes out and has a really good performance. Is there just a little bit like where you kind of sometimes have to give him a little bit of a an encouragement or whatever? Is he a guy that really responds to that?
Yeah, I think he does. Because you can certainly go the other way on that and never come back. But it wasn't really anything, to be perfectly honest with you, about the discipline or something about that. It was, we'd moved Snacks to corner, and obviously we felt like Braxton was playing really well, but we always knew Nudie was a really good player, and he's shown that a lot this year and last year, and we have a lot of faith in Nudie. He's a wonderful kid. I love him to death, and I'm glad that he had good success.
And you mentioned Auburn has a really good kickoff returner. I noticed this past week Cam's kickoffs didn't necessarily always go into the end zone. Was that a strategic thing on y'all's part?
No, we were trying to kick it out. I didn't want to kick it at the end. I mean, I didn't want to, and it was even on the last one. I said, Scott, he better kick this damn thing out, because we were talking about skying it, or you know what I mean. I didn't want to squib it, because all they needed was a field goal to win, and he did. But the value of Cam Little and really Fletcher, because there was one Cam almost missed. It was a low snap, and Max did a great job of holding, and it was kind of the difference in the game, because they had problems with their extra point. But Max and Cam and Stein and those guys, I mean, they're invaluable. And to have Cam go out there with 44 seconds left, or whatever, I think it was 44 seconds left, and kick a 49er, which could have went 60. I mean, he hit the blue tarp in the back. Game's over if he doesn't make it, and what a wonderful clutch kick.
Coach, I was curious your thoughts on Peyton Thorne. It looks like they've kind of gravitated more towards using him.
They have.
He can do a lot on the ground too. What are your thoughts on him as a quarterback?
Well, I think he's a really competitive guy and tough, and he's fast. And so what I talked to the guys about last night, we always kind of meet at the very end after we kind of get a thoughts on them, that I don't think there's a reason to have two separate defenses for two separate quarterbacks. I mean, because Thorne and really, Trey, it's exactly what you said. He is much more athletic than I thought he would be, and can run. So they're going to run their total RPO offense with him, and I'm sure that's why they got him to begin with. But he's throwing the ball well. He's a good quarterback. Obviously got a lot of experience, coming in for him. But the thing I can say most about him is he's really, really competitive. And you can just kind of feel it through the film, to be honest with you.
We always ask you what you think about 11 o'clock games, what you think about night games, but this is a 3 o'clock game. Missouri's at 3 o'clock later, and FIU, by the way, I don't know if you know, it got picked up for 6:30.
Just heard that, yeah.
But what do you think about 3 o'clock games? Just playing in the middle of the day.
That's the perfect time, really, to be honest with you. Fans can have a true experience, great experience, and get home at a decent hour or whatever. And it's the greatest time if you win, But, I think, there's a lot of teams that practice in the morning now. We're going to try that in the spring too. We're going to go to morning workouts, or morning practice. But I think it coincides with every day, and so I think that's probably the best kind of condition to 3 o'clock's when practice kind of starts, or a little later, but you're in there with meetings and all that kind of stuff, so it kind of correlates with what you do every single day.
In the spring and morning practices, how are you going to maneuver that with classes?
Well, we've already checked all that with the university and all those things, and the class there we have where they can start class, after about noon. So 11 something it'd be their first class. So don't have many conflicts, maybe 2 or 3.
Of all the things Kenny did, opening drive touchdown. It wasn't a 2-minute drill, but it was close enough. You had to, actually it was a 2-minute drill, and the drive before that. What did you think about his overall composure on the headphones and just how the whole thing kind of laid out?
He got a lot of swag about him. He got a lot of confidence, and not overbearing now, but got a lot of confidence. The kids can feel it. The kids have a lot of confidence in him. I don't know, but KJ, a lot of confidence in him, and I think KJ played by far his best game by far this year Saturday. And I thought Rocket did too, by far. And I know he'd only played really in 2.5 games, but that has a lot to do with passion and pride and confidence and all that. And that's what Kenny brought to him. But he believed it too now. And I never questioned anything that he called, because he called what we practice. And in these situations, and in practice, we're going to throw it down there. Possibly. We knew that safety was going to be low and we could get behind him. But when he called it, man, I got tight, because I'm going, oh, my God, first and go on to 4. And ball's in the air, and I didn't stay tight too long, and Broden made a really, really nice catch. And KJ threw it to where only Broden could catch it. So I'm so happy for Kenny and the program and the state and everybody else. It was a big win for us.
So the receiver pass was at this week or the last 2 weeks, and we know Tesla played quarterback. So how did that all come together?
Yeah, well, the double pass was mine. We'd had 5 that we were carrying, and one of them was the first play of the game. And the double pass, somehow it was put in, I guess because it was mine. And I said, I want 5 of them. I want 5 of them that we can go score on. And I just reminded Kenny at one point during the game, I said, I think the double pass there whenever you're ready. And because Tesla played quarterback in high school, man, what a ball. I mean, going to his left too. And so, I mean, I don't mean to take credit for the call. We got a 15-yard penalty. I don't mean that, but I'm trying to tell the backstory of we went in with 5 and we'll go in with 5 this week.
AJ, that's the first fumble lost by running back by you guys in a long time, but I'm not sure he got back in. I mean, your faith in AJ still maybe
big time. Well, we have a lot of faith on him. I told Jim after that, so let's just rev up the rocket and see if we can go win the game with, because our offensive line was playing with some confidence, and the wideouts were catching the ball well and all this. Let's see if we can't, we think they're 2 of our better players for a reason. Let's rev up Rocket and KJ, see if we can't go win. And it had nothing to do really, honestly, with AJ. It's just Rocket was playing well, and we wanted to burn him up out there, use him.
Hey, Sam, some more about Hugh. He obviously had it going at Ole Miss, ran into some off-the-field issues. He's really rebuilt his career. Just what he thought about how he's handled all that and how he's back in the SEC now?
Well, obviously, Liberty gave him a chance, to do all those things, and he went over and took full advantage of that. And I mean, I'm not saying he made a mistake or didn't. I don't know. It's not for me to decide. But let's say he did. He's earned his way back to where he is, and if he didn't, then shame on whoever accused him or whatever. But the bottom line is that he's a good man and he's earned his way back, and I'm happy for him. And we won't beat him on Saturday, but I'm happy with what he's done, and he got back into this SEC deal now. It's a different story, and he knew that because he had been so successful at Ole Miss, and he'll have Auburn rolling, and they are right now.
And does Liberty, obviously the personnel is different, but how similar are the schemes that you saw from Liberty last year to what you've seen from Auburn this season?
Well, I think any time that you're in an RPO world, there's a lot of similarities in a lot of teams. If you look at Ole Miss, they do some similar things, and they're very unique at some of the things they do as well. So probably a lot of similarities, Bob.
One more, and don't mean to throw water or whatever on a great win, but 5 sacks, that was really the only thing the offense didn't do pretty well. Was that just you have to give Florida credit, or what do you think happened there?
I think at least 2 of those, and it may have been 3, they were really runs, and they just got tackled behind the line of scrimmage. They were faking a bubble or a flare out of the backfield and a run, and they just got hit in the backfield. I think at least two of those were that way, and then at least two or three of the other ones were sacks, and we just got beat at tackle.
Braxton, we've already talked about him today, but McGlovern, you go into the portal with Jaheim and Snacks, and this freshman's kind of first string. I mean, did you kind of anticipate that he could have this kind of impact for you way before the season even started?
Braxton? Yeah. Well, we were hoping to. We thought we were awful high on him coming out of high school. It's so hard, to start as a freshman or play as a freshman, other than special teams. But we were very, very high on him. We knew that he came from a good background of coaching, and his father and all those type things had a lot of impact on him and his athletic ability and his career, and obviously well coached. So we felt that, but we felt like that with some other guys too in the past, and it just didn't pan out that early. But he had all the intangibles, and just a wonderful, wonderful kid, and he loves to play.
Just real quick, did you get a chance to celebrate with Josh Braun, just winning against his former team? I know you said you didn't speak with him earlier in the week.
It was really special. I mean, he came up to me and thanked me, and I don't know why. I mean, there have been other people who would have took him too, but he thanked me. And then as I'm walking to the bus, his dad made special effort to come and talk to me. And then I saw his mother as well and his wife. But his dad said some awful nice things, but it really doesn't have a lot to do with me. We gave him opportunity, and he's used it, and I was really happy for him.
I just want to touch on Coach Turner for a second. What is it about him that allows, the tight end room to replenish itself? He's going to be called on to do it again.
Yeah, well, I think he's a good teacher. I think that's the first thing. And, obviously we hired him for a reason, because he was at Stanford for so long and had so many different guys, and so many of them played well. Obviously they were very talented as well, but in this league, you're gonna get chewed up a little bit. There's a lot of guys down on the field from us and Florida. Very, very physical game. So you have to have that next guy ready to play, and he's done a really good job with that. And I anticipate him doing it again. But I think it's just his demeanor and his ability to teach and motivate.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you about the opportunity to play on Veterans Day. What's the significance to you personally, and maybe to the team, to be able to play in front of the Razorback faithful on Veterans Day?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I've lost uncles, cousins in the war, and just unbelievable what the people in our country have done to fight for our freedom and our safety, and we sure want to honor that as best that we can, and it'll mean quite a bit for our team to do that on Veterans Day.
And then you've talked in past weeks about not letting losing spiral within the team and focusing on the next game. Now you experience the opposite side of that spectrum. What's the key in practice this week to great win, but to move on to Auburn and focus on the Tigers?
Well, I think, first of all, thank God that we got – I mean, come on, man. But we're all about accountability. And so when we came in this week, there was some things that we did well, things that we did poor. And on that sheet, whatever that's poor, we've got to emphasize that and make the kids accountable. And I had 20 plays on offense, and I think I had 16 on defense. And there's accountability, and I had, 7 maybe on special team. And there's accountability from kids. And what happens a lot of times when you win, you put it under the rug because you won. But if you do that, you're going to get the same result. And so that it could be anything. And so I think we've got a staff that's not afraid of the players. In other words, that are willing to talk to them and be honest with them and hold them accountable. And I hold them accountable. They hold me accountable. But I think if you do that, I think you can get a better result the next week. Sometimes, you're just trying to, man, I'm glad we won. Let's get to the next game, And I just don't think you can skip that step of accountability, and we sure won't today. Our goal today is to have the best Monday practice that we've had all year, and that starts with accountability in the film room.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.